Morning, everyone. Welcome to
Morning.
Q&A. So, exciting news. If you haven't seen already, XRP case has had a development, and as a result, the crypto markets are pumped. So the outlook for me is looking very rosy for the next while, which is great, very exciting. And we've got a few things to perhaps have a scan through, but as always, I like to make this a workshop. So if there's any questions on anything anybody's come up against the last couple of weeks, I'd love to hear them. Or just
I've got one, if you don't mind. Obviously, always investing money into different things. We've obviously got investment in Muesli Swap with milk. How do you take some money out?
Great. So let me get the screen share up and we can have a look. 1 second.
Paul, do you mean take money out, or do you mean do a swap, or do you mean
Well, basically take out my original investment
in fiat?
No, just in ADA.
Okay.
So if you just bought the token, then it should be sitting in your wallet. So in Eternal, you should be able to see under the token list tab on the home screen on the account page. Look under there, and then if you search for min, and you can see how much min tokens you have. Oh, sorry, no, you said milk, didn't you?
Yes, milk.
Yeah, and I don't have any milk tokens in this wallet. So you should see, so if you just search for milk on there, you'll see your tokens. Then if you want to sell them on the exchange, you would click your DApp connector button, make sure this wallet is switched on. You can go to Muesli Swap. You would connect your wallet. So you see my little pop-up window?
We can see Muesli Swap on there.
Is it just showing the screen, or is it showing the whole desktop? So can you see my pop-up window as well?
No.
Okay, let me try. Getting used to Windows Zoom. I haven't used it on the screen one. Oh, I did it right. Oh, hang on. Oh, that one. You see that now? Yeah, I think that's right.
Yeah.
Cool. So we can. This is the typical DApp requester, conforming to Cardano improvement process 30, and you can connect, and that will allow then the DApp to talk to the wallet. So you should then see ADDR in the little drop-down box at the top, showing you what your balance is in your wallet, and that way you know you're connected to this site. You can go to trade, and it defaults to milk and ADA if you're using the Muesli Swap platform. So you can see the price action, recent price action of the milk token in relation to ADA here. So we're currently sitting at 12.07 today, and it's been up as high as 16.45 as highest, which is huge, considering we've had months and months and months of it down at the 2.7 range. So even now we're still good, but it does look like the price has bounced a little bit, so it jumps up again today already to 14. So there's some good ranging because of the XRP case news, I think. So we've got ADA and milk, and you want them to swap them the other way around. So you want to be trading your milk tokens for ADA. And then what you'll have, if you've got everything connected right, you'll see the balance of your milk tokens here. And so then if you want to sell them all, you just click max, or if you want to sell a certain amount, it'll then give you how many ADA you'll be getting back in return for that sale. So at the moment, I've got on expert view and the DEX aggregator on MusiSwap. If I turn these off, I think this is first how it loads up. So you just see this sort of view, which is a simplified view. Expert view and DEX aggregator add features, but again, milk to ADA, this is a swap arrow direction it's going, and it'll give you the price. So you can have expert view, which will then show you the order books. So these are the actual orders underneath that are going on at the moment. So you can see when there's demand or sale pressure on the token. Down at the very bottom, you have your open orders, if you've got any open, your order history. The aggregator is if you've got this DEX aggregator button on as well. This MusiSwap's a very clever platform in that it pulls in the prices and orders from the other decentralized exchanges. So you can actually have on here the price as quoted by MusiSwap, which is the order book as it's called. And then you can also, if you've got the option to swap that token for one of the others. So if I did that and then said, I'm going to swap 608 ADA for milk, then it'll show me the best exchange for that current swap. So if I was swapping ADA to milk, even though milk is native to the MusiSwap decentralized exchange, currently the price for milk is better on MinSwap, which is another decentralized exchange. So you can go to MinSwap directly and do the swap there, or you can just stay on the MusiSwap platform and benefit for the same thing, because it's aggregating all the exchanges together that it's aware of and getting you the best price. So here it's chosen MinSwap for us, and I think then in the aggregator, if you place an order for this, if I was if I was selling the ADA I have for milk tokens, it would do that on MinSwap, and then if I made that order, it would appear under this aggregator tab. So the other feature you can do actually is, because it's an order book on MusiSwap, you can actually set it to a limit order, which will then obviously get you the price exactly as you want it, if you so choose. So if you're willing to sell at, say, what's mid-range for today, we're up to 14. So say you're willing to sell at 13, you can actually put the sell price in there and say, I will, or purchase price. I mean, you wouldn't do this obviously because it's cheaper than that at the moment if you're buying milk with ADA, but you'll be selling. So you'll say, I'm willing to pay 13. And I want to sell 50 of my milk. That'll give me 650 ADA if I put into the order book that price of 13 ADA. You can actually see here now all the other exchanges and the pricing on those exchanges as well. So we've got this order book. We've got the liquidity pool from MusiSwap, which is effectively if you are involved in liquidity pools, you're providing milk and ADA to this MusiSwap exchange so that people can trade between those pairs. Then that's the price you get if you just take something from the liquidity pool. Buy Finance is a newer exchange on the Cardano ecosystem. I did cover it a little bit last week, I think, and I want to do a bit of a deeper dive at some point. Buy Finance is interesting. Its unique selling point over the other exchanges at the moment is that it will allow you to get involved with earning yield. So I can't remember what they call it, staking, liquidity pools, yield farming. You can do that whilst keeping self-sovereignty over your tokens in the entirety. So with MuesliSwap, MinSwap, if you want to participate in yield farming or liquidity pools, you'll put in your token pairs to a smart contract. You'll swap them on the platform for an LP token. You then put that LP token into a smart contract, and then you'll earn trading fees and rewards from that pool that you're providing. With Vi Finance, they're saying you don't have to put your LP tokens back into a smart contract. The LP tokens will just stay in your wallet, so stay self-sovereign, so they're in your custody, and still earn the rewards from their yield farm offering, which is an innovation and I think pretty much unique to Cardano. So very good development, because then effectively you're able to, if you decide that you want to sell your LP tokens, you can do that instantly without having to pull them back out of the smart contract, paying a transaction fee, and then swap them with somebody else. You can actually just trade them directly and pay that transaction fee fewer times. So they're sort of one of the biggest selling points, is that with their system you have to do far fewer transactions, pay far fewer transaction fees to get involved with this. So very interesting platform. I love MuesliSwap. This is where I spend my day, because it's got this DEX aggregator. It's got all these features. It's really, really useful. So you can see the prices for MinSwap, SundaySwap, and WinRiders as well. There are 2 pools on SundaySwap, in fact, for the Milk ADA pairs. So one's at 12.17, one's at 14.4. So make sure you pick the best one for you, obviously. And the difference between them is that they have different slippage rates and stuff like that, I imagine. I typically find MinSwap and MuesliSwap tend to have the best prices, and Vi Finance is starting to pop up now as well. But yeah, if you just have this DEX aggregator on, then you'll benefit from the best price on the currently utilized exchanges, decentralized exchanges. Yeah, and then you would, like, I don't have any milk, so I can't do that. So if I swap to the other ones and say, if I was going to sell 100 ADA to get 8 milk tokens using DEX aggregator, let it choose the best price. It's auto selected the order book for me. So MuesliSwap's now got that best deal compared to Vi Finance, which was a minute ago. And it shows you the breakdown of the fees involved, and that alters based on which platform you're buying from, selling from as well. So you get really good insight into all the different prices and see whether it's made the right decision for you. And then you can place your limit order, and that will fill as the order book is able to fill it. So you won't necessarily make an instant order because you've set it to a limit rather than an instant. You won't get the market price, you'll get the price as you've specified it, and that might not be filled instantly, but it likely will be filled in the next few hours, minutes, hours, days. If the price moves away from the target price that you've set, then you might want to come cancel that order and set up another one that was more likely to get filled. That's the only thing you need to look out for. And just by even taking the current market price and placing it as a limit order rather than as an instant order, you can actually get a bit more for your money than if you just did an instant, because you're setting that price, and with slippage and fluctuation prices, then a market order will just make the trade as soon as it can, whereas a limit order will actually say, this is the price I'm doing it at. So even if they look the same as the market price, when actually the market price implements, it could well have slipped a bit either way. So yeah, if you're willing to wait, then place a limit order. If you just want it now because you're looking to get your milk tokens, your best price for your milk tokens, and you want to then sell them for ADA, and then you want to sell your ADA to get some cash out to pay for your pint that evening, then you might just want to market order.
So Jonathan, so it's a good idea to put the DEX aggregate in default, I think. Is that sort of, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's what I always do. Because there are there are some things to think about. So if you've got the DEX aggregator on and it's pulling in an order book from these other exchanges, then it may be that the best price comes from something that you how can I word it? So, for example, if for some reason this Sunday swap had this pool had the best price, but it was taking the larger pool fee, and actually the total value locked in it was so small that the filling your order probably wouldn't happen, then it may be that gets auto selected. I don't know if that's the case or not, but that's the sort of safeguards I'm assuming this DEX aggregator does. It tries to look out for, but it might fail at some point. So it might let you place an order with one of these less liquid pools, and so your order might take forever to get filled or might never get filled. So that could be a slight downside of using DEX aggregators. There is a slight precaution to using it, but if you're just aware as you place your order, have a quick scan, see what the see which order book has been
So
chosen.
it looks like you need to pay pool fee plus batcher fee.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. That's pool fees like mostly swap is charging. The batcher fee charged by the actual the way they're exchanging. I'm not sure what that means.
Yeah, almost right. So as far as I understand it, the pool fee is taken off and given to the people providing the pool. So if you're providing a liquidity pool on an exchange, the pool fee is carved off and you're rewarded for providing that liquidity. So that 0.3% is given to the people who are earning, who are offering liquidities. The batcher fee is effectively the cost for running the exchange. So the exchange has to run. So in the case of MinSwap and MuesliSwap, they run batches. They aggregate all the orders as they come in. They put them into a batcher, which then processes them in bulk to try and reduce the transaction fees, and then the orders are fulfilled. And so the cost of running those servers, running that infrastructure and everything, is taken off in the batcher fee. So that's where the different exchanges can try and be more competitive. So if you're MuesliSwap, you own the milk, you minted the milk token, then you can set a lower batcher fee on that liquidity pool, for example, because it's your token, so you pay nothing to generate it. So it's cheaper for you than to do the work on that token than one of the other exchanges who don't mint milk tokens. They have to buy them or have the liquidity providers give them milk tokens to be able to offer their pools on their platforms. So yeah, there's a little bit of complexity involved, but yeah, that's the difference. So the sum of those, the 0.3% plus the fixed fee of 0.95, whatever, will give you the actual resulting price in the total fees summarized for you in this screen. And so when you actually try and place the order, of course, you get the confirmation on what's the exchange actually going to be, and you have the full breakdown there as well. So if you just see here, this all looks sensible. It's from a DEX that you're comfortable using. So I typically like to just use MinSwap, Finance, and MuesliSwap now, because I'm more confident in their levels of liquidity. But yeah, if the price comes up as SunnySwap, I'll certainly go and investigate. If price comes up as MinSwap, I'll go and investigate, check, but it's a good order. It's all going to go through still, and then I can place it. But yeah.
Paul, are the fees fixed, or if you just hang in there for a few more minutes and come back again, would those fees be different because of other circumstances?
The fees will be fixed sort of for a reasonable amount of time. They're sort of configured because these are decentralized exchanges. They're configured either by the founding team or by a DAO that says, yeah, this is a good price to set for, or a good fee to charge for our batchers and so on and so forth to make sure the infrastructure is paid for. And so they may change occasionally, but very rarely. The real thing you want to look, I mean, the market fluctuations, the price demand, will drastically change the results of your order to a far greater extent than the fees will. And again, because this is sort of Cardano, fees are typically very low throughout, compared to if you were doing this on Ethereum, Uniswap, PancakeSwap, where you've got the gas fees involved as well, which will be typically $5-15. Here you're paying, 2 ADA, of which we're getting 1.7 back.
So those gas fees they talk about on Ethereum, are they not the same as the fees that we pay here?
They are similar in terms of their technical underpinnings, but different in terms of their valuations, because Ethereum is an older technology. It's a far larger infrastructure, and the gas fees are set in their own right according to a fee market. So the gas fees actually fluctuate drastically based on the supply and demand of people.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
And when you place an order in Ethereum, if you haven't put enough gas in, or the price slips drastically, then the order will get rejected, but your fees can still be taken. On Cardano, you're insulated from any of that shenanigans. If you place an order and it's able to be filled, you'll the fees in advance, what you'll be paying exactly, so you can trust these numbers here exactly. If the order fails to go through because it slipped so much, then everything gets returned to you. The order doesn't go through, your fees are returned to you. You don't lose out at all. So it's a really good setup. And yeah, with the price of ADA and the fees looking, you're paying 1 ADA at 30 cents, as opposed to Ethereum's gas fees, which can be between $5 and 15 for a single transaction. Cardano is a much more efficient ecosystem to be involved in. Did that cover your questions, Paul? I didn't know whether you got to...
It did one of them. Thank you very much. Cool. I've got another curly one for you. If you're or create a liquidity pool, or go into a liquidity pool in, say, your NAMI wallet, can you move that liquidity pool and obviously the tokens that you invested in into your Eternal wallet?
Yes. So effectively, the same rules apply for your ADA balance showing up in a NAMI or Eternal, and as they do for any of your native tokens. So the only difference being that in NAMI wallet, it set itself up as a single address wallet. So you've got your UTXOs all sitting underneath one Cardano address, whereas in Eternal wallet, it's a multi-address. So you can actually have those UTXOs using different addresses. And so finding out your actual balance is more involved in Eternal than it is in NAMI. So if you started out with your NAMI wallet, using that to connect to the exchange to put your tokens into the smart contracts, start liquidity pools, yield farming, then decide to switch over to Eternal, that's a safer way of doing it, because Eternal has more functionality. Kind of loosely, I'm saying that loosely because there are people who would disagree with me. Eternal people like the single address approach of NAMI, and some people like the multi-address approach of Eternal, Daedalus, the rest of them. The capabilities in chain for multi, but single is much more familiar for people, especially coming from the Ethereum space. So anyway, I've digressed a little bit, but yes, if you've got it set up in NAMI and then reopen that wallet in Eternal, you'll be able to do the same interactions with the smart contracts with Eternal as you were doing with NAMI. So it's just a case of getting your seed phrase as set up in NAMI originally, importing that into Eternal, and then you can still use your NAMI even to interact and still use Eternal. But if you do use Eternal, chances are you'll now end up with a different balance in your Eternal wallet as you did to your NAMI, because NAMI won't be able to see all the transactions because it's just dealing with that single address. Does that make sense? That could be a question.
It does, but so then if you have lost your seed phrase for your NAMI wallet, then potentially you can't use, obviously moving your you can move your funds or your liquidity pool across, it's not going to work. You still have to move that NAMI wallet into your Eternal wallet.
Yes, so you signed the transactions on the smart contract that actually deposited your liquidity pool tokens into that yield farm using NAMI and the seed phrase related to that. So if you lose your seed phrase, you've still got the NAMI wallet open and working, then you can still interact with that contract, but you can't obviously recreate that ability, those private keys to talk with that contract here. So what you should do is withdraw the LP tokens from the exchange, so they're back in your wallet in NAMI, and then you would send all the tokens from that wallet over to a brand new Eternal wallet that you've just set up and created, including the LP tokens. They can then go over to your Eternal wallet, and then you've got a new wallet with a new seed phrase that's all safe and stored happily and everything, and you can then send your LP tokens from your Eternal wallet into a yield farm smart contract to actually start earning again. And that way you haven't had to sell your LP tokens, exchange them back out into ADA and milk pairs or anything, and you have been able to move all your assets from your NAMI wallet, still control them, and you're still then able to interact with the yield tokens with those same LP tokens that NAMI was originally. But you just have to do that extra step of sending them from NAMI into Eternal, taking them off the exchange, sending them from NAMI to Eternal, and putting them back onto the exchange. And so you'll be paying transaction fees to do that, but you're losing out a little bit. As a result, you're suddenly got security, self-custody of your funds again, without worrying that if NAMI loses its cash or something, it forgets its seed phrase, its private keys that it's extracted from the seed phrase, then if that happens, effectively that NAMI then has lost the ability to sign contracts, and your pools, your tokens will be locked up forever in the exchange. So yeah, good practice is just, if you ever have a problem with your seed phrase, then just withdraw any interactions you're doing with exchanges into that wallet, move all your assets over into a new wallet, a brand new wallet on another, it can be another NAMI one if you wanted to, or it can be into Eternal, but just make sure you've got your seed phrase and you're confident in it all the time. And as soon as you aren't, then make sure you move your assets over rather than just try and keep running with that wallet. Wind up the use of that wallet as quickly as you can. That's my advice.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's awesome.
Cracking. Glad to help. Any questions come up for anybody else in all of that? I think you both, Utan and Dinesh, got some questions in, but that's all good. Cool. Okay. So
I am good, sir. I'm good. Yeah.
So a couple of things to maybe look at that have been interesting this week. So actually, let's just jump in here while it's open. So we were talking about the TVL figures for Cardano DeFi. So this is all the ADA flowing into yield farming, liquidity pools, staking, etc., that are now available on chain. And you can see we had smart contracts released back in about September 22. Oh, no, wait, 21. Sorry, 21. So that would have been off this chart. So smart contracts happened back here somewhere, and then that meant that ADA could start being flowing into places that would lock up the token. And so you can see here, it's only really started to register on the scale of things in January of 22, got 1.4 million ADA. Then we hit the peak of the bull run, summer of 22. No, hang on, that's not right either. So this is just the smart contract abilities, release of the platforms, money can start flowing into them after the bull run. And then we start to hear the, the crashes and doom and gloom from last year, with exchanges blowing up, centralized exchanges blowing up. And so money flowed out of the ADA DeFi space back into people's wallets. And then we've been on this sort of flat line of total value locked.
So, Jonathan, when you say it's TVL, total value, is it locked or liquid? Is it like, how much ADA is happening, exchanging at that particular time? Is that my correct
It's total value locked. So, when you're locking your ADA, effectively you're moving it out of your self-sovereign wallets and into some kind of platform where you don't control it anymore.
Like staking sort of thing, or is that like
staking, liquidity pools, yield farming, bonds, lending? All these are forms of financial management that are considered under the TVL figure, the total value locked, because that shows, it's a good figure because it shows confidence in that ecosystem. So when people are willing to take their core token, layer one token, which like in Ethereum would be ETH, in Cardano it's ADA, they're willing to take that token and put it into means of earning that means they've lost control of that, then that's a confidence in the ecosystem, in the chain's future. And so that's a really useful figure to know and to look at and study when evaluating ecosystems. So we're looking at the locked up value. That means people are confident in what's going on there, in the smart contracts, etc. And so that's a good indicator on the value of the whole platform as a whole going over time.
What I'm trying to see is, that particular point where your mouse cursor is at this moment. I see the massive drop. So is that means somebody withdrawing the some sort of like to sort of like currency, something? Why this so massive drop at that particular point?
So August 22, I'm gonna pull from my top of my head, I imagine was probably the collapse of FTX.
Right.
So people have said, oh, crypto's crashing. We're definitely in a bear market.
And they're withdrawing it.
Let's pull our liquidity out of the smart contracts and get it back into our wallet, get it onto exchanges and swap them out for fiat, because I want my holdings to be in my local currencies rather than in crypto. And so I imagine that's what that crash was.
Okay.
And then we just see a flat line. So these people, this line represents all the people who are like, well, I'm never selling my ADA. I might as well just leave it where it is. The prices may go down from here, but I don't really care. I'm looking for the next bull run. And so they've just kept it in there.
Yeah.
Then you can see it's just kind of kept flat.
Yeah.
So this is me and you probably sitting in amongst this puddle.
Yeah.
And then you can see end of January, start of this year, people are like, huh, we've had dips and crashes and burns and everything. I'm now starting to see green shoots come up. Let's start putting our holdings back into these smart contracts, try and earn some yield from them. And so it's been going up from the start of the year, from end of January, pretty steadily, and accelerated then again in May, June time. And it's just been on this really, really steep incline. And of course, depending on how bullish you want to look, you can just narrow the screen and see, look, it's really steep. But yeah, charts are always deceptive.
So it's
So
direct
that's
proportional, TVL directly proportional to the actual price, right? So would that means Cardano should sort of like increase the price as soon as TVL goes up as well? Is that
okay? Yeah. So if you think of it as a confidence in the ecosystem, and that will reflect in the price of ADA, definitely. So if you see this line going up, then it means that people are putting money into, locking it into the ecosystem, and so the price of the core token, the ADA in this case, will rise accordingly, because there's a flow, there's confidence in the ecosystem, so money's flowing into it. If you look at it in the USD denomination, then it's far less clear of a picture. You've seen peak of ADA's price up here, price dropped way down to the beginning of January, and then it slowly climbed. But there is still a climb. It's still fairly clear to us, but it's not as clear as actually if you look at the price denominated in ADA. This is showing you how much Cardano holders are confident in the future of the Cardano ecosystem. And so that's a good one to look at. And if you wanted to compare it with other chains to see whether ADA is a good place to have your money or if Polkadot is, then you can go and check out the other chains for the same chart. So if we looked at what am I interested in? Okay, not Polkadot. Let's look at Tron's a popular one. Let's look at Tron. That's done really well recently. So in US dollars, it's kind of done well, done badly, done well, done badly, done well, done badly. It's kind of in a range here. If you look at actually at the Tron, you can see it has risen as well. So there is money flowing, being locked up on the Tron network, but sort of from what's that? Just the last month or so, there hasn't really been an increase. If anything, there's been a decline, certainly sideways. And compare that with the marked angle of the Cardano chart. So there's more confidence in the Cardano ecosystem than in the Tron one. That's how I interpret it anyway. Let's think of another chain. So Binance is a good one. That's always going to be busy because of the Binance exchange being the largest centralized exchange. So the activity of its own smart chain, which is a sort of Ethereum clone, going to be a good indicator. So in US dollars, price has gone down and stayed down. In terms of BNB, price has done the same, gone down and stayed pretty down. So again, that shows that people haven't changed their hearts about Binance at the moment. They're still seeing it as an ecosystem. I wouldn't call it in decline, but certainly not one to throw money into. And I've been through a few of these chains looking for something similar to the Cardano chart profile, and yeah.
So slightly off topic, the Binance with this recent like Ripple case. Do you think the Binance against like there was some SEC case and Binance? So do you think that will be quashed now? Because it looks like Binance also BSC prices have gone up slightly as well.
Yes. So Binance is interesting in that it has a small portion of its assets in Binance US, which is one that came under attack from the SEC. So Binance as a whole is kind of isolated because it's international. Binance US is under massive scrutiny and pressure because of the SEC case. Similar to Coinbase. So as a result of this XRP trial, Coinbase has pumped and Binance has pumped. because the whole market has really. But it doesn't mean that Binance as a whole will behave exactly the same as Coinbase. I'm more confident in Binance as a whole because it's larger, it's international, it's more diverse than in Coinbase, which is very US specific, and they worked really hard to be on the good side of the regulators in the US. Binance has kind of tried as well, but Coinbase have been after it. We want the US market, we want the US market. And so they should pump up more than Binance in my mind because of this XRP result. But yeah, we'll only really know in a few weeks time probably. So yeah, both are still, I'm confident in them long term, wouldn't worry about it, but yeah, short term though, it's going to be some movement. So this is another interesting. So this is Solana, which is always touted as similar sort of conversations as Cardano, as being better than Cardano perhaps, but actually if you look at the TVL, it's 390 million on Solana, and in Cardano TVL is 202. So Solana's bigger, got more volume, higher market cap. When you're looking at the US dollar comparison, and it's just been on downward. And on its Sol token, again, we peaked back in July last year, and it's been kind of on a down, kind of gone up a little bit in recent months, but certainly nothing on the same clear profile as the Cardano chart. So of all the chains, all the smart contract chains, Cardano is on the big ones. Cardano certainly to me is looking like a really good ecosystem, as I hoped all along. This is why I've invested so much time and money into the Cardano blockchain. So yeah, that's looking good. The other thing that's been happening this last week is Cardano has been having its rounding up of all the Cardano improvement proposal workshops for SIP 1694, which is around the governance of the Cardano blockchain. So there's been several workshops. I was involved in one at the weekend, talking about what the community's opinion is of the parameters on chain, how they should be managed, who should be responsible for it, and what sort of thresholds for these parameters need to be changing, and how do we take the management and the decision making around the parameters of the chain out of the hands of IOG, Cardano Foundation, and Emergo, who currently control the keys that determine that let you make changes to their parameters. How do we take control from those entities, centralized entities, because they're effectively like companies, corporations, move them out of their hands solely into the hands of the community, the decentralized community. And this is a really significant piece of work. If we get this right, then it will mean that the future of the chain is far more secure, because you haven't got few entities to be targeted, any attacks and things like that. You've got every ADA holder be able to participate in the decision making for the chain, and all of this will be carried out in on-chain transactions. So your votes will go on-chain, the decisions will be able to be seen publicly because they're on-chain, and if we get it right, then it won't be in the control of the hands of a few, but in the control of the many, which will be, for the first time in history, really, we'll have a thorough, sustainable, proper way of managing a large amount of value by grassroots people. Anybody can participate. So similar to a nation's voting structures. You can actually pull into power local MPs and get them into the House of Parliament and so on and so forth in the UK. We can instead of having this delegated representatives just locked up in Parliament and prone to all the sort of lobbying and corruption that can happen there, we can actually have it happening in a much more decentralized manner. And so part of this work, these workshops have been looking at delegated representatives, so DREPs, people who will be able to accrue a much more voting power by people voting for them to make decisions for them. We've been looking at a constitutional committee, so having a group of people who are maybe representatives of industry, of financial institutions, of large tech contributors, having them represented in the constitutional committee. And then we also have a collection of the stake pool operators as a sort of another arm of decision-making power. And so we'll have these sort of DREPs, constitutional committee, stake pool operators, all contributing to collecting vote power to determine the outcome of certain decisions, certain choices to be made around the Cardano blockchain. And that's a really difficult piece of work and a very important one. And so this on Tuesday, Wednesday, everybody gathered, everybody who held physical workshops around the world, and there were, I can't remember the numbers in the end, but 20, 30 of them around the world from on all different continents. They all got gathered together, flown into Edinburgh to then have a final sort of gathered workshop to see how far we got, what sort of consensus we might be drawing close to, what the major issues were, complaints were about the proposal as it stands, SIP 1694, and we'll be getting feedback from that conference in the next few weeks, which is going to be very exciting. So yeah, that was IOG's, and they held it in Edinburgh because Edinburgh is sort of the seat of the academic research that's gone into the Cardano blockchain. It's the academic institute that is coming up with the decentralized index, a new index that will say how decentralized any of the blockchains are. And yeah, it's this idea of actually we can create a new layer of financial operating system, a new layer of social structure and decision making of government power that is global and not necessarily based in nations. So real world changing stuff rather than just the buy token when rich kind of attitude. So the real fundamentals, if we get that right, then the rest will flow. So that was exciting to see that. I was gutted not to be invited, but there you go. If anybody sees this from any of these bodies, please invite me next time. I really wanted to be there. But yeah, I couldn't make the London Meet workshop, and that probably was where invites were handed out. So yeah, but I'm participating in workshops still and really enjoying them anyway. And they'll continue as well. They'll keep going. And as a stake pool operator, then I'll have certain different powers to a lot of people anyway. So yeah, that's exciting. Pop in with any questions, by the way, interrupt me, please feel free. Otherwise,
you got our vote, Jonathan.
Crack in, thanks. And speaking of vote power, Project Catalyst is back on. Woo, Fund 10 is out and about. We have just closed off submission of proposals. So the proposals are now all up on the IdeaScale platform, and the number of projects that have gone up there, I think, is something like 1,700, 1,750. The last number I think I saw. There is 50 million ADA being distributed in this fund, which is equivalent to about $16 million, probably more now already because of the price bump. Because Cardano has been up 30% in the last 24 hours, if you haven't noticed. But the Project Catalyst has now moved into the phase where the proposals that are on on the platform are now locked, so we can't add new proposals, but the next few days we'll be able to refine them. So we can actually make changes, get feedback and amend them so they sit best with the voting community. So I managed to get my proposals up there, which I really encourage you. If I can't get you guys to read my proposals, I don't know. Don't have much hope of the rest of the world. So, I'll drop the link, put it into Discord, and you can go and find my link tree and the easy links to the proposals that I am involved with. There's actually another one on here that might show up. I've got to speak to the guys who put it together and see if I actually got it onto the platform in time. But this one is one that I've had in several funds before, has passed the vote, but then lost out in the allocation of budget because it fell out of range. And then this is a new one, the SBO Online Business Academy. I'm doing that with another Genius U IAW Cardano fan, Harry Hellier. He's run a workshop for stake pool operators in 3 different sort of cohorts. Is really starting to help contribute the sustainability of stake pool operators. And so we're building out this online course now using the Gimbal Labs and Damio platform. And that's a proposal to have that funded, which would be a great piece of work, and maximize on the previous winning awards that Harry's had. So actually make it open and accessible rather than based on his time. It can actually now be available for the community in perpetuity, which is very exciting. And then this one is Cardano's headless community events hub, which effectively is going to be a single source of event information for the Cardano community, without a user interface. So people will then have to build user interfaces to pull that event information out to the various sources, which is much needed because people need a single place for it to go, and then they can display the events that they want, and knowing that they're drawing from a reasonably rich and authoritative set of event data information, because there's so much going on in the ecosystem. Nobody knows what's happening everywhere all the time. So if we have just somewhere that we all trust to be able to plow the events into, then we'll be able to pull out the ones that we need to know. And this will be an open source project. It will be hosted in GitHub itself, so open, fully transparent, public, and we'll have several community members with access to that GitHub to pull requests on that GitHub account. And it's being sort of managed underneath the Catalyst Swarm, which is a large collective of community contributors, builders. Anyway, so a really good initiative as well. So if you're keen on voting for me, then do go in and read these proposals. If you see any flaws in the next few days, point them out to me and I'll make them.
Yeah, I think some stage I think it will be interesting too for you to sort of like maybe sort of quickly present to us this proposal, so then we, I think we'll have a better view of what's really that's about. I mean, we can read proposal, I suppose. Yeah, but also brief presentation would be good.
Okay, cool. Well, I do intend to put out a sort of short, snappy video on the ones that I'm heading up, to try and introduce the content a bit more succinctly. So yeah, talking you guys through it would be a good practice for that. And I don't want to bore you, but I'm excited for the content. Whether you will be or not, we'll see. But it's good to just participate in these things, because if we want a world around us to change, then it's going to start with us actually getting more involved in voting, in participating, in contributing ideas, in evaluating ideas, in shouting about bad ones and shouting about good ones as well. So yeah, Project Catalyst is up and running, which is good. So I did have a link to the timeline as a reminder. Yeah, so we're now moved from the proposal submission phase into the finalization. So we've got until the 17th to actually make any final changes to the proposals as they stand. None of mine have been kicked out as of yet, so I've still got time to make them as best I can. So if we can have a look and feedback anything before the 17th, that'd be great. I'll make some updates. And then we go into the full-blown community review stage, where people who've signed up to be community reviewers can actually earn ADA by reviewing all the proposals on the platform, giving their opinions on them, pointing out flaws and strengths, etc. Then we go into the actual voting period itself, where anybody who holds ADA is able to register as a voter and decide the future of that 50 million ADA and where it gets spent, to really see the whole ecosystem lift. You know, what's the stuff we really need built at this point in time? That's the stuff that you want to be voting for. If you want to see Cardano price go up because you're an investor, you believe in the ecosystem, then you have to, it's really good to contribute to that decision making over what should we spend our money on. Because this is your power now. The ADA you're holding in your wallet is your power in the ecosystem. You can use it as a voting power to make the changes you want to see happen. So yeah, good thing to get involved in. And then results will be in September. All these dates are provisional, but we're hoping that the results will be out in September, and then we can get building from October. So yeah, it'd be great to actually have a funded proposal this time. But so far, since September 21, I've been unsuccessful in all my own attempts of getting funding. I have received funding from other projects paying me to do some work, so I'm very grateful for that. But I'd love to have some of my ideas win out as well. Yeah, that's Project Catalyst. Very exciting times. So the I haven't got my cheat list open actually. Let me quick grab that. And any questions do butt in, please.
Just on that, Jonathan, can you still put in to be obviously a proposal reviewer, or is that deadline gone already?
I'm not actually sure of that deadline. That's a really good question. Who's going to be quickest way of finding that? Actually, yeah, probably. So on Twitter, the guy who is our Catalyst on the Project Catalyst team and who's really active is Danny Rebar, who also is a stake pool operator, which I only found out this year, despite having known the guy for 3 years. Deadline for community review. Okay, it's posted them. So there are a couple of important deadlines for you, either as a reviewer or as a voter. This round, everything's changed, so you will need to re-register as a voter this time round. If you don't, you'll still be able to actually vote, but crucially, you won't get any rewards for it. So you do need to re-register with a fresh voting power, which is a snapshot of what ADA is in your wallet, for then you to be able to receive a payout for the rewards as a voter. We're having to do this time because the way that the rewards are paid out is happening in a different way. Previously, it was done as a mere transaction, and this time it will just be a regular transaction straight to your wallet from another ADA address. So instead of coming from the treasury, it'll come from an ADA wallet effectively. And the dates apparently were on here, but that's not taking me to the right place, is it? I don't think. August 18th is a voting one, but I was hoping for the reviews on that. IHK account. Seem to be posting about Catalyst. Oh, can we just actually see if it's still open? That's a good idea. Oh, I'm not logged in here either. So this is the Idea Scale platform, which hosts all the proposals. It will be changing for Fund 11. We're having to use it again. Nobody likes this platform, unfortunately. It is clunky and awkward and very hard to find stuff, but we're having to cope with it for another fund, one more fund, and then we'll be rid of it, I'm promised. So, I don't know, it's a profile actions, I think. No, this is just submitting proposals. Oh, I still got a draft. I might have to come back to you on this, Paul, because I'm digging around and not seeing.
No, if you do find it, Jonathan, just post it on your site on Discord. That'd be great.
Yeah. I actually wonder if it's on the Common Community Review on the Project Catalyst.io website. No, it's just going to take me to Idea Scale again. Yeah. I'll find that out and get it to you, Paul. That's going to be easiest. But yeah, good question. And so if you didn't see that as well, so the deadline for registering as a voter, re-registering as a voter, is August 18th. We have some time still, but you can do it from now, I believe. And that's a very easy way of making money, because when it comes to voting, you just have to cast one vote, and you'll be rewarded as a voter. Yeah, getting free 80 ADA, which, you know, this year could easily be certainly next year could easily be 80 quid or more, is a good way of just putting a bit more pocket money in your pocket. Good. So one thing I wanted to mention, now last week I had to rush off, so I didn't get to cover everything. So there was one thing I wanted to talk to you about today, which was, you know, about the Optim finance bonds, which I've used myself. I've been able to borrow 1 million ADA, pay the interest on that lending over a year, and actually have control of the stake keys for that 1 million ADA for the year. So I've obviously staked that 1 million ADA to the pool, and that's why our stake pool is now up with 1.4 million ADA staked to it, and minting blocks pretty much every epoch. And that means we're all getting rewards. So the bond itself, you can participate as a lender or as a borrower. So I was a borrower on the Fluid Pool one, and I know, Paul, you were a lender, so you lent some of your ADA to that million to participate in that 1 million ADA. So effectively, you locked up some ADA with that bond, which I issued. So the interesting thing is that the capabilities of the chain of blockchain as a whole put you in some interesting positions, because now you can take your portion of the participation in that bond and sell it on a secondary market if you so choose. So if you decided, Paul, you just wanted to, you needed the cash out of that bond now, rather than in 9 months' time, 6 months' time, whenever it is that bond runs out, and you think you could do better with that money, or you need it for something else, then you can actually find a secondary market and sell your bond portion to another human. And so the secondary market for Optim Finance bonds, the first one, has just opened up. and that is this website, denogo.io. So it's calling itself a decentralized exchange, but its main sort of thing that you are exchanging is the Optim Finance bonds. So you can come in here. This is a screenshot of the Optim Finance bond description as taken from the website, and then you can see how the UI is if you want to post the bond that you own, the NFT, because the bond represents as an NFT in your wallet. So you will have an Optim bond NFT in your wallet pool. I've got one as well for my borrowing, and I've got another one for some lending. And we can bring them here, attach our wallets, connect our wallets to this exchange, and actually sell our bonds. Now, I don't want to do that at the moment, so I'm not actually going to do it, but it's a really interesting development in the space. This is functional, working, smart contract driven. It's all on chain, all public, and seems healthy, seems good. But it's not the slickest user interface, as first time to any sort of project never really is. But yeah, it certainly seems to be up and running, which is great. I don't think the wallet I've got has any tokens, any Optim tokens in, but let me have a quick scan anyway, just in case I'm wrong. I carried out my DApp connector. Let's pull out my balance. But yeah, I can still only bid. So I think if I had an NFT in my wallet that I could actually sell, I would have a sale button here as well. Did I see that?
I think we'll just sit on ours.
On yours as well, yeah. Me too. I know where my money is, and I like it that way. It means I can't spend my ADA. So, and so as a result of this appearing, or not as a result, but as in parallel to this appearing, Optim Finance again have started reissuing bonds, retaking new applications for bonds, and so there was one that popped up that I took advantage of that was then offering at the time 7% APR on what you put in. So that then starts to outperform your staking just in a pool on Cardano. So if you're confident in the Cardano ecosystem, you think your money's going to be safe, and you don't mind locking it up for 6 months, 3 months, 6 months, a year, in return for a high yield, then that's a staking method that is really stable and secure. That is, in my mind, marginally riskier, but really no riskier than holding the ADA in your wallet yourself, because it's not in your wallet anymore. You don't have custody of it, but it's sitting in a smart contract, which I have full confidence in. It will pay out once the parameters are met without any further involvement. So the people borrowing can't do anything about it. All they can do is stop paying their interest, and then it will liquidate it, and you get your capital back and the interest you've accrued. If the lender wants his money back, he has to wait for the term to play out, and all the lenders then get their money at the same time. Or now lenders can take their bonds, put them into this marketplace, and somebody else can buy into that opportunity. And so you'll be able to get a bit more return by selling your bond in the short term, but obviously you'll lose out on the interest long term. So it's just, if you need the cash now, or you think you see a better opportunity, then you actually have a way of getting out of it now. And because there are new bonds flowing into the Optim Finance platform, offering higher rates of return, then it could be that maybe I'll sell this one and go for a bigger bond or a higher interest bond. I don't know, but either way, that's now an option. And on top of that, as an additional sort of bullish signal for Optim Finance, they've now announced that the there's a partnership with Fluid Tokens. Again, not related to Fluid Pool or Fluid 7. This is an entirely different decentralized lending platform with their own token, FLDT, and these guys have announced a partnership with Optim Finance. So this is a lending borrowing platform, and that means that the Optim Finance bonds will be appearing on this platform as well. And this is a much older, much more mature, much slicker interface to buy and sell those bonds. This is brand new and the first to market. These are older, but not got an interaction with Optim Finance bonds yet, but they will have shortly, which is again is great news. And so, of course, the other bonus of participating in any of the Optim Finance bonds is that you will get rewarded with some airdropped Optim tokens as well, which hasn't released yet. And so those Optim tokens, the value of them is totally correlated with the usage of the Optim Finance platform. So the Optim Finance team went quiet for the start of this year. They completed their build, they got it live, and they sold some bonds, and then they kind of just shut up shop. It was really expensive to run a really technical team like that. The bear market was really biting, and so they just had to sort of cease their development, go back to their day jobs effectively, and keep a really small core team. Now that they've got their partnerships set up again, they've started development, and they'll be releasing new products over time. They've got some new bonds issued, which is great because it means that the Optim token that we'll eventually get our hands on has a better chance of actually having some value. So, you know, don't look at it as a retirement fund, but it'll be a nice bonus to have from participating in the ecosystem.
Nice. So as you say, we might get some Optim tokens as well as an airdrop.
Yes, yeah. So certainly, because I took out that 1 million ADA bond, I'll be getting some Optim tokens, and I relinquished. So I could have had a cheaper bond, so I paid less interest on it, but I relinquished that ability in return for getting more of their Optim tokens. So actually, Fluid Pool will own more Optim tokens at the end. So I'm actually planning to do a bit of a bonus reward mechanism for you guys who are delegators, long-term delegators to Fluid Pool, when I get hold of my Optim token. So I believe if you've taken out an SPO bond, participate in an SPO bond as a lender, then you are due some tokens to be airdropped, some Optim tokens to be airdropped to you, but also just as a staker to Fluid Pool, I'll be issuing some Optim tokens as well. So yeah, great to see the Optim Finance platform coming out with a bit of a new lease of life. And I should show their website because I haven't been looking at that. I've just been looking at their secondary marketplaces, but this is their platform. So do, you know, keep an eye on here, because there are some interesting bonds that get released, and they are selling out in the matter of minutes, if not hours. So there is significant money flowing into it, and so that DeFi Llama total value locked charts that we were looking at the beginning of the call, the TVL for Cardano, in amongst those figures are things like these Optim Finance bonds. Oh, I can never find.
6 question, I think, isn't it? It's optimism or something. 6.
Yeah, 14. There we go. So yeah. So in this figure are the million ADA that I borrowed, and and all the other Optim Finance bonds that are coming out. So we are contributing by taking part in these lending, borrowing, exchanges, liquidity pools. We are contributing to the confidence in the ecosystem, and this chart, with this huge incline, which is very bullish for Cardano as a whole. Particularly now with the XRP case saying that XRP is not a security, then that puts Cardano in a very bright light, because if XRP do win their case long term, after all appeals and all that shenanigans, then Cardano certainly will win theirs, because there is far less related to securities in the Cardano inception than there is in the XRP inception. So yeah, very, very bullish for Cardano long term. Oops, that dashboard didn't load for me. Well, maybe it's got an issue, or I'm in the wrong browser or something. But it's currently not showing. Interesting. I have to give the team a shout and see what's going on. But there we go. So that is Optum Finance, and the future of the secondary market looking pretty rosy, with 2 exchanges being saying they'll be trading their bonds. One already doing it, one upcoming, which is great. So we did touch on the Exodus wallet and the Trust wallet, because we were looking at multi-chain wallets previously. And I think that stemmed from a question, which I can't actually remember what the question was now. Does anybody recall? Was there anything I needed to cover on that? It's down in my notes as something to cover. And that sparked any memories for anybody?
Was that Linda or Archie that made mention of it? I can't remember.
Well, yeah, it might have been. Might have been Archie.
I think it was Archie.
Okay, well, just on that as a quick recap. So the Exodus wallet is a excuse me, is a DeFi wallet. So you do have control over the private keys. It's a self-sovereign wallet, and I've done a bit of research, and my question mark over it was you can open up your wallet on desktop, and you can open it on mobile, and I thought you could just log in with your user account and have the balance represented on both platforms and be able to sign transactions. When I think I've in my research I found out that actually you need to have the seed phrase to open up the wallets on either platform. So that means that you are retaining sovereignty over your keys by using the Exodus wallet. So that's a great thing to see. Yeah, I use Exodus myself, so I'm particularly for its cross-chain abilities, multi-chain abilities. So yeah, I'm certainly happy to keep doing that, and yeah, happy to recommend it to people as well. Excuse me. The other wallet we looked at was a Trust wallet, and I believe that is the same. I didn't do deep research in this at all, but yeah, if you are looking for an alternative Exodus for any particular reason, then do check out the Trust wallet, which for some reason never shows up in. Oh, there we go, to the top result. This is another alternative wallet that is multi-chain and has a mobile app and a desktop app. So have a look at either of those. One thing of note is that in Exodus you can actually stake ADA. So I think you'd asked about that previously, Utam.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So you can stake from the Exodus wallet, and you can stake ADA, and it is using the native staking mechanisms of Cardano. So that's a great thing. They're not taking your ADA tokens into a smart contract or into another exchange to then earn rewards off it. They're actually using the native blockchain staking mechanism, which I'm all fully spot very happy about.
So what that means? What that means when it's native? When you say native, what that means? Does that mean like it's you get ADA when you stake ADA?
Yes. So if you have ADA in your Exodus wallet and you stake, then you're just using the same mechanism as if you'd staked with Fluid Pool from Eternal. So it's the same technical architecture. you're having to trust the same entities. Your ability to stake in Exodus isn't any more risky than if you were staking with Fluid Pool. However, the one thing I do want to say about that is that because Exodus is a large, high-profile wallet, then it has a whole load of users, and the people staking their ADA in Exodus are doing it to such an extent that Exodus now has multiple stake pools that they're running to stake their ADA with, and that, as it grows, becomes more and more of a centralizing issue, because what you really want is to have single operators and single stake pools as the largest portion of the network. You want to decrease the number of multi-pool operators as much as possible, because as soon as you have a multi-pool operator, particularly like on the Cardano blockchain, then Binance is the largest multi-pool operator. They have loads of stake pools. It was like 90 or something, I think it was the last count. I might have come down by that since then. Certainly it's been like 60 and plus for a good while. And then that means that you've got, and each of them have got, excuse me, each of them have got 63 million ADA in each pool. And so that's a whole load of ADA being managed by a single entity. And if a government comes after Binance or after Exodus, then they can certainly coerce behavior of those entities regarding those stake pools. And they, by running multiple pools, they have the same power as I do as a stake pool operator to be making decisions, to be casting my vote for parameter changes and things like that. So anything that gives multi-pool power to a single operator is decreasing decentralization of the network rather than increasing. So we want this number of stake pools to grow, and we want the number of single operators to grow. We don't want lots of stake pools start being opened up by single operators. So I would mark a preference that if you have ADA in Exodus, I'd still want you to move it over to a self-sovereign wallet like Nami or Eternal, and then stake it with a community pool of certified single stake pool operators. So like myself or any of the guys in the Extra Small Stake Pool Alliance or the Cardano Single Pool Alliance. And that way you are maximizing the decentralization of the network, and that just adds to the stability, security, the uncoerciveness of the network, and it also protects us from court cases like the SEC, because the more decentralized the network is, the harder it is for any decision by those guys to cast legal action against you illegally. in my mind, is mitigated by having lots of parties involved. So yeah, that's my only provider.
So just to clarify, Jonathan, did you say, I know like ADA you mentioned, but Bitcoin also, I see Bitcoin. Can you also stake Bitcoin as well, or just and maybe I should sort of like
yeah, I haven't found a definitive list of all the tokens you can stake from within Exodus, but if you open up the wallet and have tokens of a particular kind and on a particular chain, then it'll show you if you have stake abilities just from the single interface. So really powerful tool.
I checked that out. And did you say, just earlier you mentioned a mobile app as well? You can have Exodus in mobile as well, right? As a mobile app, and then you can did you mention that the whatever the staking you've done or whatever coin you got, that will reflect in the mobile app as well, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So you can open up the same Exodus account on mobile as you can on desktop, and if you're staking one, then it's staking in the other as well. So yeah. Powerful tool. And these guys are really valuable for the ecosystem because they help with moving tokens between the chains or value between the chains. So it's good for ADA to be able to flow to Polkadot, and it's good for Ethereum to be able to flow to ADA. You know, this is health of the networks. We don't want there to be a single one that rules them all. I mean, I'm quite happy for Cardano to be the biggest and best, but equally, I want the other chains to survive, because without competition, that's when you have monopolies, and that's when you get problems. So competition is always good, innovation is always good. There needs to be a successor. We need to have a thriving ecosystem of blockchain developers, blockchain development, to really make blockchain a long-term sustainable tech. So yes, interesting times. And I think that actually covers all my topics that I noted down to cover today. So we're hitting on 11 o'clock. Anybody's got any other things they want to touch on?
Yeah, just a quick question regarding that. I think you a little bit mentioned, that voting for ADA. Did you say you need 500 ADA per sort of per address for voting, casting vote, right? So
Yes.
I have got, like, for example, Jay and myself, we got, like, she probably got 3, 4, and I've got 3, 4, 2, 3 as well. And if I have every, every wallet, every address I've got 500 ADA, then I should be able to, I'll be able to do 3 times vote for 3 times, and so Jay can do 4 times. Is that correct, or?
Yes, unfortunately, at the moment that is correct, from any kind of usable way. So if you have got multiple wallets and you're holding ADA in multiple ones, and you want to use all your vote power, so bringing all that voting power together, there's only currently one way to do that, and that's from the command line, using sort of raw tools, and that is far beyond the ability of most humans. So you don't have to look at that, but the ability to do it is there. And for the next fund, the expectation is that we'll have voting registration that's able to specify all the wallets that you own, prove that you own them, and then get one voting registration to cover all those wallets. So then you can use your full voting power just from the one wallet, which means that when you come to vote, you only have to choose the projects you're voting for once. As it's been up to date, if you've got more than one wallet and you want to use your voting power from all those wallets, then you have to go through and vote multiple times, which has been an absolute pain. So what I've ended up doing to avoid that is taking all the ADA from all my wallets, putting them into one wallet, voting with that one wallet, and then moving them back out, or at least minimizing the number of wallets I actually vote for.
Yeah, but then you need to have 500 ADA per wallet, right? If you got more or less than 600 ADA, then you still got only one voting power, right?
So yeah, if you've got multiple wallets with 500 ADA or more, you can either register each of those wallets to vote with, and so then you have to go through and vote 3-4 times each of those wallets. So pick all your projects, cast your vote, open up the other wallet, pick all the projects, cast your vote, open up the other wallet, which is a right pain. Or if you want to just cast all your votes from a single wallet, then you can move your ADA from those wallets into one wallet, use that one wallet to register your vote, and then you just have to pick your proposals and cast your vote with that one wallet. So that's the way I've done it to date.
But it still is only one vote.
Well,
Jonathan, or is it multiple?
Yeah, so in Cardano, the only vote power at the moment is from the ADA that you hold. So the more ADA you have, the bigger your vote power, and that's called a plutocratic voting system. So the richer you are, effectively, the more power you have in the world of voting. And this is a very easy, simple, and useful, powerful way of voting, because it means that you don't have to do any identity verification. That's the main thing it avoids. If you're just considering that everybody who holds ADA has a vote, and the more ADA that you hold, you have more voting power. It's equivalent to your holdings. Then that's really easy to manage because it's all on chain and dead simple. If you want to go to the next level of governance, which really is because that model has some problems. That's the way that monopolies work. The richest person gets to make the decisions, and that's effectively what we'll just end up replicating in Cardano. So what we want to move to is other voting mechanisms, like one person, one vote. But to do that, we have to then move from our anonymous, pseudonymous wallet voting power into human voting power. So we then have to find a way of identifying one single human and giving them, one vote, or however much voting power we want to give to each human. And that's a much more complicated thing, involving identifying that one person is one person and not, having multiple identities, not coercing other people to then vote the way that they want them to, and all these sorts of problems start to rise up. And so yeah, that one person, one vote is a challenge that we will get to, hopefully in time. But at the moment, then just this, whatever ADA holdings you have, that's how much vote power you have, is the way that it's being run.
And I suppose the other problem is as well that one person that holds that ADA actually wants to be potentially identified.
Yeah, so you need some mechanism for guaranteeing that it's a single person, and that's very difficult to do if you want to also maintain privacy. And there are sort of ways of doing it. Technically, we've solved the problem. It's just humans in any equation complicate things drastically. So if you want to identify me as a voter, but I want to remain anonymous, then you have to have some mechanism for me to prove that I am who I say I am, and without revealing to you who I am. And that can only really happen with a technology called zero knowledge proofs, which again is related to blockchain cryptography. And so a zero knowledge proof will be, I can show you something that is enough evidence for you to believe that I am who I say I am. But by doing so, I don't reveal who I am and everything about me to you. So it could be that you have a platform that registers people on it, and that mechanism will reveal the single piece of information that proves that they're a single person, and within that ecosystem, you can't have more of that type of identity. And the information that might be revealed to me could be a snippet of who you are that is anonymous information rather than identifiable. So it could be that someone registered with the platform, they make a transaction that has a figure on of 1.2839642 ADA, and that is a unique number, a new transaction. No other transaction has that unique number in it, and that in and of itself is a very simple form of identity, because I, as a platform manager, know that there's only one transaction with that value in it, and that's related to this account that's registered. And I don't know anything about the account that's registered. I just know that they can prove that they made that transaction because it's in their wallet. And so mechanisms like that, but obviously much more complicated, much more robust, because there's ways to game that, will need to be developed before we move away from plutocratic voting into merit voting or holocratic voting, or any other of these voting mechanisms, quadratic, etc., that exist and out there. And so at the moment within Voltaire, and this has been a big discussion, big debate in the Voltaire 1694 workshops, is how do we move away from plutocratic voting? And at the moment, the consensus is that most people are like, well, it's good enough. Let's stay where we are, and let's set up voting decisions and power now using plutocratic votes, and worry about the problem of identity later. I have reservations about that, because as soon as you have a decision-making body that is based on plutocracy, richest has the most say, then to make changes away from that mechanism requires a vote, and the people who have the strongest vote are the people who will suffer the most by any change away from that. So the richest people have the biggest vote in the plutocratic system. If you're asking them to vote away from that, then they're going to have to be really conscientious people, because they're effectively saying, I want to decrease my vote power, and nobody wants to decrease their vote power, in most situations. So yeah, if we set up like that, then it's going to be hard to move away from that down the road, is my fear. But yeah, a very interesting challenge, very interesting problem. And that's governance for you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And I only struggle because I'm multi-personality.
Yeah. It just schizophrenic as well as anonymous. Oh, we've got a whole load of hurt coming up. But yeah, great challenges for clever minds to think about, cleverer than mine. So yeah, it's good to just be a part of it. Cool. Well, hopefully I've wet your whistle, got you thinking about enough, and got you excited enough about the ADA ecosystem and its future. Can't resist a little glimpse at the ADA price.
Just thinking, Paul, will the SEC come out and go, we're going to appeal, and then everything goes back again for a short time?
Yeah, certainly there will be an appeal place, and it will drop back down again. But yeah, regardless, I'm pretty happy about that leap. That's very nice.
They exceeded my expectation. Yes, I was thinking it'll stop. ADA will stop around 0.32, but it actually carried on up to 36, didn't it? And it's really hanging nicely at 34 now.
Yeah, really good.
So it shows when it gets kicked, it actually does lie down a lot flatter. But when it stands up, it stays there.
Yes, yeah. It gives me good confidence in all the main chain tokens now, really. So Polkadot and even Solana, there's
what they're saying is, what they said is those 13 tokens that were quoted alongside the Coinbase ruling, all those now should come back up again. And those Matics and the XR, the ADAs and the file coins, etc. 13, all those 13. They were quoted along with the Coinbase ruling, then case. Then I think they're all likely to now come back up again slowly. Yeah,
and you see it reflected very clearly. So, I mean, even Bitcoin and Ethereum, which are effectively safe from those those cases, they're bumped a little bit, 24 hours, 2%, 6%. But it's of course obviously XRP, its main proponent, 60, and I think it was up to like 75% at one point. Bump, but then yes, the Solanas, the Cardanos are all seeing sort of 20. And Solana's doing better than Cardano even, which is baffling to me based on the technology. But there we go. There's VC money in Solana, I suppose. That's one major difference.
Yeah, and limited amount of people with the keys to turn it off.
Yeah. Guys, we need a reboot. Avalanche and Stellar. Stellar's huge as well. So it's just nice to see green charts with big steps.
I must say, in my mind this morning, sentiment is completely different compared to the last few weeks. It shows that just a small event actually takes a lot of pressure off, doesn't it, sometimes? And then another event puts another gloom on for a long time. But just take a snap, it just takes a snap moment to turn things around.
And all this is kind of retail activity, isn't it? We've had people jumping in and buying 5 minutes after the announcement. This isn't what the institutions do. The institutions are long-term players. And so, for this to be sustainable, we then need it to be big influx of cash from the institutions to then come and prop this up, because the market cap now for crypto is getting pretty chunky, 1.25 trillion. And Bitcoin, again, did I share this last time? Fiat market cap, I might have done. That's always interesting to see, the place of Bitcoin as it equates to world currencies. So Bitcoin is now 19th in the world.
Wow.
Significant amount of value stored in a digital currency that is uncontrolled by single entities. Is really exciting for the future of the tech.
That's a very positive comment, isn't it? Not controlled by a single entity, and it's number 19 in the world rankings. Yeah.
So yeah,
13 to 14 years.
I know. Yeah, from a standing start. So that to me is proof of the trust in the technology, and an indicator and an arrow for the direction of change. Because if you're going to have Bitcoin do that in this space of time, rise to that sort of level in terms of money, value stored in it, then it as a whole, the digital industry in it, and the fact that every nation is looking at central bank digital currencies to try and combat it, means that actually, the digital space is very, very encouraging. And the fact that it's a DeFi token, Bitcoin, that's now leading the way, forge the way, means that there's an appetite for people, or appetite in people for decentralized alternatives to these centralized fiat world money systems. Let's hope for humanity yet, maybe.
If memory serves me right, that's jumped one place in the last 6 months, because I'm sure when Luca was mentioning it, it was 20th.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. So rising. I mean, beating out Singapore.
Yeah.
Remarkable. It's not an insignificant.
Imagine when one of the ETFs is approved, that will be another big motivator, isn't it, for the market to jump?
Yeah, huge. And on Luca's call this morning, he was saying that he's confident there'll be European ETF for Bitcoin within a month.
Yeah, I was surprised that there's not one for Europe so far, but with all the rules coming in now, so I'm expecting that's the first I heard this morning.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they're sorting out the regulation, and the results will be another big influx, I imagine. And that's when we'll start to see some institutional money flowing into it to prop up these spikes, which would be very good. So yeah, hopefully we won't have to hide our crypto habits for too much longer.
I think what's required is just to make it mass adoption, something simple that people can work with. Almost like working with central exchanges, that you want an app, or that's what you need. Something that an idea to put forward to go, this is the way you can operate, and all you do is put ABC, and then you get ABC out, and here's your risks.
Yeah. Definitely, the user interface is what's missing at the moment. We just don't have that slickability. But even in that, I had an interesting conversation. Someone saying, well, you think about it, mobile banking didn't exist 10 years ago, and now it's ubiquitous. Everybody uses mobile banking from their phone, and that's quite a significant technical hurdle and user interface hurdle, even in that. So yeah, we do have an ability as a populace to adopt new technologies and get over these technical hurdles, and jump through these hoops. So yeah, there is still another leap to go from mobile banking to self-sovereign wallet management, but
Yes.
we'll narrow that gap, and we'll start to see more and more people make the leap. That's my hope.
What I found was talking to people I know, just a few females and other friends, because they're in the habit of thinking like the normal banking, which is like a centralized systems. They don't have the ability to think like the decentralized way,
No.
and they get lost. So rather than trying to understand how to use the interface, they don't actually understand it. So they can't move from the central mindset to the next step mindset. That
Yeah, it's a big shift.
what we provide now is actually, it's not going to of benefit until there's an education.
Yeah, it's very true. And yeah, that learning process isn't going to be funded by private companies, isn't going to be funded by governments, because they don't have any incentive. So the education has to come from the DeFi sector itself. So
Yeah.
So we are all
Project Catalyst would be really the right place for that. Yeah,
exactly. So we've got 20% of all transaction money going into the treasury. The Cardano Foundation treasury is then spending 50 million ADA, or perhaps $16 million of that every 3 months, every quarter, on good ideas to grow the DeFi ecosystem. And so that is money that we decide what happens with it. So if we decide to fund projects that are educating people in how to use self-sovereign wallets, and improve the user interface, spend the money on getting the branding done, the packaging done, the innovative solutions for seed storage management, then that's when we'll see adoption, and our jobs as people talking to family and friends will be much easier, because there's not going to be a school lesson on how to set up a self-sovereign wallet anytime soon. So the only way we can actually secure the adoption of this tech is by participants evangelizing it almost.
Yeah,
it's just a hard task at the moment. But yeah, I love it. I'm sold for the future. So yeah, I'm sure you guys are too, because we're still here, despite the bear market.
It is a real example of how to move from old to a new technology, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a social shift and a mind shift, like you're saying, but we'll get there.
Okay, that's good.
Good. Yeah, another good session. Thanks everyone for joining.
Oh yeah, next week I'm in Sharm El Sheikh at holiday. So depending on where I am at 9:30 time GMT, I'll maybe join you by the poolside or otherwise.
We'll insist on camera being on. If you do manage that, you have to make us properly jealous.
I'll do a little 360 degree
little tour. Yeah. Oh, good. So stop in next week for a tour of Sharm El Sheikh. Great.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thanks, Dinesh, Paul.
Great session.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you all soon.
All the best.
Bye-bye.